little thing hooked up permanent. Comes up to a little funnel that's mounted permanently with a little keep the bugs out flap, and I pour a little bit of alcohol mix in it, this right here, and that's what cleans out the tube in this heating unit. And as you'll see right now, I'm going to give you a reading of what this heater. The heater's been running about 35-40 minutes. That's Preston, and that's Anna Mae, and there's Emma. And Preston has he's grown up. He's not the little puppy I might have saw in the earlier videos. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you this, and you'll see the temperature output that this thing is putting out. It's nearly hitting 600 degrees. Okay, so that's pretty hot. And this thing here, I mean, let's get over here and get stack temperature. Stack temperature is still what, 312, 313 going up the stack. Let's get a little higher right there. So we get down here on that collar. That collar's probably pretty hot. But this is that heater. This is the waste oils of any kind. And I will run any oils that you can imagine in this heater. The piping comes down. This is the piping feeding it right here. I'm using this in it to collect any kind of silt or sediment. It's just a standard gas flex fitting, 3/4 inch, I believe, half by 5/8, and it has a compression fitting going to copper, which is 5/8 OD, 1/2 inch ID copper. Runs up. There's a little blower right there, and I've hooked that thing up. It don't run real good on. It don't run very good on modified sine wave inverter, but that's what comes out of that outlet. This one, however, is a Coolotron. You can probably hear it in this microphone here. It's a Coolotron, and it works damn good. Don't get hot or nothing. These work really good. And as everybody probably already knows, this is my line going to my big inverters. Now, back to this heater. I made a significant change in this heater, and what I'm going to show you here is probably a little more than this camera can handle, but this is how it goes, and you can probably see here the heat. Now you got to remember, this is 600 degrees on the wall. 600 degrees on the wall of this tank right now, which is a hell of a lot of heat. So let's give you a look. That right there, and if you notice in the picture there's two pipes. There's 1 1/4 inch and a 3/4 inch. Okay? So let's get that closed back up. Inside there is a cast iron pot, what they call a Dutch oven. Those two pipes come down into that Dutch oven, and one of them is 3/8 of an inch off the base of the Dutch oven. The other one is 1/2 an inch. The 1/2 inch one has got a slight cut angle to it and has a piece of metal up in it that creates a vortex. I did that myself. And the pipes will stay cool coming down into that heat because they have the air coming through them, natural cooling, and or what they call evacuative cooling. So this is that 3/4 line coming in, and this over here is the 1 1/4 line, and the 1 1/4 goes down and goes to a 1 1/2 vacuum hose and clamped onto there, so the air blows up through here. See, I can hold my hands on that. Look how close I am. I'm only about 9 inches from that tank. And the tube in here, there's a little brass cup soldered to a 3/8 copper line that's in here, and that's why that union's there, so you can put them together so you won't twist the pipe. And it threads down into that one that is bent all the way down and goes down to that pot. The 3/8 line is centered in the middle of that one. Air blows around it, oil travels through the copper, drips out the bottom just about that far, about a 1/16 of an inch up inside the pipe before it comes out, and it causes that to disperse. It hits that cast iron pot. The other one creates the vortex, which you saw in there that was welding light bright, and burns at a temperature. The fire itself exceeds the limit of my, whatever brand this is, my General, whatever the hell it is, it exceeds the limit of that. it just goes all, it says error on it when you point it at that fire. So it's burning 1,000 degrees in there, and it's using used motor oil. What's inside this is also, you'll see that line going back, all the way back, and it turns up, and then there's a second, and then it hooks on with a valve to this tank that's up here. And I fill this tank up, and that'll last me about a month and a half, maybe 2 months of pretty much using it all the time of heat. And I'll put 4 gallons of diesel, 1 gallon of green alcohol, and then the rest is all used oils, whatever they are, transmission fluid, oil, whatever. The unique part about it is the camera made it look like there's a lot of smoke in there, but there's actually not. And after, what now, I think I've had this a year and a half, this has never had to be cleaned. I took it apart, and it was clean. Going up on top, the stack has little small, like a screen on it, and it doesn't plug up. So apparently I'm burning cleaner than these commercial grade ones. Now, you take a look at this, and you're going to see that's an 80-gallon water service tank for pressure. It had a pressure bladder inside of it, big rubber bladder that pushed down on your water to give you water pressure. That's an 80-gallon tank, and that's salvage, come out of a job I did. That door and that flue fitting right there came out of a $50 kit from Amazon for a barrel stove, you know, the ones you lay on the side, and I just used angle iron to make a squared frame for that to mount to. So all together, pipe and all, I mean, even pipe going all the way up to the roof of this building, which is 33 feet, all of this ran me under $200. $200 to make a heater that heats a 2,800 square foot contained space. So everything that's out that I have out here, even this all goes upstairs. I have upstairs, and there's all my speakers going across up there, and it heats everything in here. It doesn't matter where I go in this shop. I mean, it's about probably over there at that thing. It's probably every bit of about 85, 90 degrees within 10 feet of it. Over here, it's a nice, comfortable 70, 72 degrees. However, this big heater maintains this building, which is a big building. I mean, even this door here is an 18-foot door, or kind of a necessity. One of the things that guys were asking me about is me restoring these batteries I've got, and this battery here is I don't know if you can read that, I can barely see it, but it is a AUG 01, so I don't know if you can hardly see that. That's AUG 01. It's a 2001 battery. This battery, when I got it, but it literally had no volts. I mean, it was you would put the meter on it, and you would get roughly about 1.9, 2.2, something like that. That's positive. And what I've done here is I used the Epsom salt, okay, and I used 5 milliliters Epsom salt. In other words, what you use a heaping tablespoon of Epsom salt and a half cup of water, put it in the microwave, heat it up to not to boiling, just bring it up towards steaming a little bit, stir it real good, and then you'll put 5 milliliters. Now this right here is almost a 31 series battery, so you'll probably put 4 milliliters in a regular car battery. But I think this one is here right, is 850 kilowatt cranking amp. So this one came out of a pickup that was sitting out in the field. And so I put 5 milliliters in each cell, grand total of 6 cells, 3 underneath each cap, of Epsom salt, 1 heaping tablespoon, 1/2 cup of water, heated up, so that and then dissolved and mixed up. Squeeze it, get it 5 milliliters, put it in the cells, each one. Now, if your cells are a little low on water in each one, you want to use regular water, distilled water, and you want to add them up. So what I did there is I added the Epsom salt, and then I added the Power Pulse. This Power Pulse is a little item right here. I don't know if you can read that. The actual writing on it's pretty blurry. But you can get them on Amazon.com. Just key in the word Power Pulse. Battery maintenance system. Now, what it does is a Power Pulse, people wonder how these de-sulfators, how these things work. There's one being restored right now. It's actually hooked up to the main big bank of batteries which runs up to here, which runs up to, goes everything. So, how they work. All right. The power pulse will build up a charge that they've learned that affects the plates, the sulfuric acid, the caking sulfur on the plates. And then by releasing that charge, you see that flashing? Every time that flashes, it's releasing that charge. Every time, pop, pop, pop into that battery. So by doing that, you pulverize the sulfur that's built up on the batteries on the plates. Now, I want you to look at this. This battery's been sitting for nearly 2 weeks. No charger on it. Get that on there. And if I can get it on there and hold my camera here. After 2 weeks of it sitting, I will show you what we're dealing with here. All right. So 2 weeks is sitting. Now let's put it on there. I want you to look at that. That's not too bad, is it? When you think about it, and you think about the fact that that battery's 14 years old, has been dead for probably, God, it could be dead for 10 years. I brought it back. Does it work? Yes, I put this in my F-150 pickup, and not only did it fire it up, I didn't give it a chance to recharge, killed the key, started it again. 5 times in a row, back to back. Come in here and check the battery voltage, it dropped down to 12.58. Very impressive. That's restoring a battery. Now you can see there's more of them up here. That one actually belongs to a friend of mine. Brought it by, wanted it redone. And that one is a January, here, look at that. January 2008. And if it wasn't any good to be able to desulfate, that wouldn't flash. All right, this kind of a dead giveaway. If your little bulb there, your little LED don't flash, it don't work. All right, so probably a long, silly video, but one day I'll give y'all an update. Here's the reason this thing's producing more. Y'all might have seen this in one of my other videos, but it's this thing. This is, watch my hand here. This blower, oof, very tough. That's a permanent magnet outer housing with the windings on the inside and a bearing and a shaft shooting straight through the center going to a blower. So now, I took it and modified it using a big fern coat fitting. I don't know if you can see that very well. And it goes into that 3-inch pipe. That 3-inch pipe comes over here and splits off. There's a valve down here that I can increase or reduce the flow in the vortex pipe. And this one shoots straight through down a piece of 1.5-inch conduit. I just use regular, actually I think it's 1 5/8 ID fence pipe. And then it comes over here and goes up to here and off it goes. So anybody who wants to know how, and as you can see here, that just shoots up and goes straight up through the roof and out, a few feet out. Anybody who wants to build one of these are really simple. But using the dual catalyst or the dual air pressure method to keep that vortex going actually increases the heat. So to reiterate, you have your line coming in here with a valve. You have your, I'm sorry, I'm jumping back on this to give you a better picture because I can point at it with my dirty fingers. You have your main supply, and it runs into that, goes through, feeds the center, and your oil supply goes through that and goes down in there, and that's what disperses it. This pipe adds extra air for higher combustion level, and you'll notice that the heat is pretty excessive. I mean, even up here at the top, where am I at here? Get it off the seam. Even up here at the top, I'm 250 degrees. Okay? You get down here lower, hold it on there. There we go. I was on that seam. So you'll see here, and then watch how quick it builds. There's a reason for it being cooler up here. It's called that thing. So you get over here, and here's your heat, guys. You take, uh-oh, it overheated. It's too hot. It's above my reading. So let me get back a little ways and see if it'll cool off here. Yes, it does get the floor. Actually, the floor gets very hot over here. All right. Yep, it overdoes. So we'll try to get it up here. 600, I believe, is the limit for it then. So there's your heat there. It's right above that door there. You tell me. Watch it. I think it's going to get over it. So, yep, it goes over 600 degrees. That's all this thing will read. 600 degrees. Not bad, huh? 200, under 200 bucks. Heat a whole shop. All right. My friends in Canada and a few other places, look, I cleaned the place up a little bit. Not too bad, huh?